Hello everyone. We are from Group 14 of the Cross Cultural Understanding Class B, and today we will be discussing 12 unique burial and death rituals from around the world. These rituals reflect diverse cultural beliefs and practices surrounding death, highlighting how different societies honor and remember their loved ones. Let us explore these fascinating traditions together. Let's start with one from our country. The Toraja tribe of Sulawesi holds elaborate funeral ceremonies known as Rambu Solo, which can be very expensive and reflect the deceased's social status. These ceremonies honor the deceased with rituals such as dances, feasts, and buffalo sacrifices, believed to provide the deceased with provisions in the afterlife. Finally, the corpse is placed in cliffside graves or tree trunk, often accompanied by wooden effigies called tau. These effigies represent the deceased and watch over the family. Rambusalo is still practiced today, highlighting the Toraja's deep respect for their ancestors and belief in an afterlife. Kotsuage is a traditional funeral practice in Japan where family members carefully pick the bones of the deceased from the ashes using long chopsticks and place them in an urn. First, the family witnesses the deceased being placed in a crematorium chamber, taking this time to say final goodbyes. After cremation, they begin collecting the bones, starting from feet and moving upwards, symbolizing the act of helping the deceased stand in the afterlife. The urn is then taken to the family grave or altar, where the deceased will be honored through prayers and offerings. This ritual emphasizes the strong familial bonds and respect for the deceased in Japanese culture. Katsuage is still widely practiced today, reflecting the blend of Buddhist and Shinto beliefs. Sky burial, or jator, is a funeral practice in Tibet in which a human corpse is placed on a mountaintop to decompose while exposed to the elements or to be consumed by scavenging animals, particularly vultures. Tibetans believe that vultures are spiritual beings that help guide the soul to the afterlife. This practice is also practical due to Tibet's high altitude, rocky terrain, which complicates traditional burials. Offering the body back to the nature reflects the Buddhist belief in impermanence and the cycle of life. Sky burials are still performed today among Tibetan Buddhists, emphasizing the cultural value of returning to the earth. In southern Ghana, the Ga people hold funerals featuring decorated coffins known as Adebu Adekai. These handcrafted coffins are adorned with symbols that reflect the deceased's life or profession. This vibrant tradition honors the deceased's legacy and serves as a celebration of life, making the person's journey an achievement. Fantasy coffins have also been globally recognized, as they are often displayed in museums as work of art. This practice is still alive today and serves to strengthen community ties and cultural identity among the Ga people.
Pamadihana, or turning of the bones, is a unique ritual practiced by some tribes in Madagascar. This ceremony involves exhuming the deceased, replacing their shroud with new ones, and celebrating with family dances. Afterward, the deceased, now wrapped in fresh shroud, are returned to their tombs. This ritual is a way of honoring ancestors and strengthening family ties. Pamadihana reflects the Malagasy belief that the dead remain an integral part of the family and community. The fresh wrapping and celebration are thought to bring blessing and protection from the ancestors. This practice is still observed today by certain communities, although less frequently due to changing religious influences and modernization. The jazz funeral is a unique blend of African and European cultural traditions introduced in New Orleans, Louisiana, and some other regions. It reflects the deep influence of West African, African American, and French customs. The processions began solemnly, with musicians playing somber tunes as they marched with the convent. However, after the burial, the mood changes, and the band transitions to lively, cheerful music to celebrate the life of the deceased. The upbeat music symbolizes a joyous passage to the afterlife and a final tribute to the life lived. This tradition continues in New Orleans, honoring the cultural heritage of its African American community. South Korean funerals, typically held in a funeral home, Jangresikjang, which is usually part of hospital, last for 3 days. The immediate family stays at the funeral home, sometimes even sleeping there to keep vigil. Visitors pay their respect by bowing in front of the coffin and the deceased photograph, one of the common gestures of respect in the Jol, where mourners kneel and bow, touching their forehead to the ground twice. After the ceremony, guests share food and drinks, reflecting South Korea's cultural emphasis on community, respect for the deceased, and continuity between the living and dead. This practice is still prevalent today, though modern adaptations have introduced change, particularly in urban areas. In Hindu funeral rites in India, the Ganga Aarti plays a key role after the cremation of the deceased. The ashes are collected and taken to the sacred Ganges River where they are scattered. Family members perform rituals and prayers on the riverbank, helping the soul on its journey toward moksha, or liberation from the cycle of birth and death. The significance of the Ganges River in Hinduism stems from its associations with purification and the belief that its water can cleanse sins, ensuring the soul's peaceful transition. This practice remains widely observed, especially in holy cities like Varanasi. Philippines has a rich variety of death rituals. For example, the Ibaloy people practice a burial ritual called bungkut, where the deceased is wrapped in a mat and placed in a cave or cliffside, reflecting a belief in a connecting with ancestral spirits. Another example is the Tingguyan people. The Tingguyan people dress the deceased in the fancy clothes and sit the body on a chair, even placing a lit cigarette in the deceased's lips, showcasing the individual's personality in death. In Sagada, coffins are hung from cliffs to bring the souls of the dead closer to heaven. The reason the coffins were hung was due to the belief that the higher the dead were placed, the greater the chance of their spirits reaching a higher nature in the afterlife. This diverse practice continues today, highlighting the Philippines' rich cultural heritage. In Brazil, especially in Candomblé, funeral rituals and ceremonies revolve around honoring the Orixás, spiritual deities representing ancestors and strengthening connection between the living and the spiritual world. These ceremonies often involve rhythmic chanting, drumming, and dancing, during which participants might enter trances, believed to be moments of possession by their guiding Orixás. Offerings including fruit, sacrificed animals, and symbolic items like goat's blood mixed with wine and honey are placed before totems representing the Orixás. These rituals highlight a deep reverence for ancestors and the mutualism central to the practice of candomblé. Russia. The tradition of feasting for the dead on the 3rd, 9th, and 40th days after death can be traced back to pre-Christian Rus. While the details might vary, the soul of deceased is believed to battle its way out of the body and then spend time in both heaven and hell. During this journey, the living must remember the dead, helping their souls through the period of travail. Even a final phase of year after the individual's death does not end the relationship between the living and the deceased, as graves continue to be visited regularly as a sign of respect. In the Russian Orthodox tradition, the dead are seen as potential saints, and the saintly land of Russian grace defines homeland, rooting the population to a new arena. Nepal. In Nepal, the Hindu funeral rite known as Antyeshti involves cremating the body, typically on the banks of a river like the Ganges. A garland of flowers is placed along the length of the body, and a murmur lights the funeral pyre. Afterward, the ashes are gathered and put into an urn. This ritual helps facilitate the soul's journey to the afterlife and ensures its liberation from the cycle of rebirth. Antyeshti underscores the beliefs in impermanence and the importance of returning the body to nature. This practice remains significant today, and particularly among Hindus in Nepal, reflecting deep cultural and spiritual values regarding life and death.
And that brings us to the end of our journey through 12 fascinating burial traditions from around the world. These diverse practices remind us of the deep cultural significance of honoring the dead, each offering a unique reflection of the beliefs, values, and practices of different societies. These traditions show us the many ways humanity commemorates life and death. Thank you for joining us in exploring these incredible rituals.